of the time, we have errors with either open loop or closed loop, and we're trying to resolve that. Here's an actual laboratory where we were testing it, and we had sort of an up view and down view, and we were modulating the electric lighting with skylights. I'm going to bounce through this. Dual loop can also work on side-lit spaces. Here we have a sensor looking towards the window, and it says, daylight, turn off. We have a second sensor here that sees the combination of daylight and electric light and says, is that enough? It starts backing off the light. The second sensor starts making decisions and saying, are you sure? And so basically, we have found that two 50-cent sensors always do better than a single $300 sensor. Okay? So you understand what's going on here. In other words, if I look outside this window and I see daylight, and I turn off the electric lighting, and I've changed the whole interior to black, there's not going to be enough light inside the space. So this sensor here has made a poor decision. It needs to check with home to say, is there indeed enough light? That's why you want two sensors at a minimum in all spaces. So this is kind of the direction that we're going on this. Okay. So I'm gonna finish up. Can I have 5 more minutes? Boss, 5? I'll talk all day, you know, so. So, why does this happen? This is modern design. In this case, sensors either didn't work, they didn't want them to work, or they defeated them. Most of the time, people defeat sensors. They have scissors, and they cut the wires. Or they have tape, and they tape over the sensors to fool it into nightness, and the lights are all on time. And I asked them, because I play like I don't know, and I said, what's on that sensor? And they said, oh, it's tape. And I said, why tape? And they said, it makes the lights work. I said, oh, okay. So why? So what I did was I experimented with this, and I said, I'm going to develop a daylight system that uses no sensors. Because when you use sensors, most of the time, now we're learning to do better sensors, but when you use sensor-based approaches, this is what you get. You get 1, tape, 2, blinds. And people say, no, you don't. Yes, you do. More than 50% of the time, daylight harvesting projects, we've gone back, they either had a pair of scissors or they had a pair of some tape. So my main conclusion, sort of where I'm at now, sort of mentally on this, is daylighting is typically not employed as a strategy. We typically do not do it. Okay? And because there's fairly massive human factors problems and integration issues. Human factors is another word for saying you've made some people unhappy. Okay? We call it human factors. And then integration. They didn't understand that you need to use 2 sensors. If you use 1 sensor, you're going to be in problems all the time. I've not seen a single sensor system work reasonably well in an office application. So I developed this non-photosensor-based approach. Now, I'd like to say that I was very purposeful about this, but this was an accident. Okay? It actually got incorporated into code too, and this is. And I'm going to go through this because this is something we can do now easily. My happy vice chancellor, my boss's boss. He looks like a very sweet, pleasant man. So I'm getting 50% savings in the vice chancellor's office. This is not just one, but this is the whole building. And I got 50% over code by applying this non-sensor-based daylighting technique, and I'm going to show you how this works. Not my office. What we put in was a vacancy occupancy sensor on the wall with a dual switch. Okay. The vacancy occupancy sensor was set to turn the lights on to 50%. not full, to 50%. You then had a choice. You could push this button and get 100% light, or you could push this button and get no light. Commercially available, cheap, okay? So single office, lots of daylight, okay? You see the huge window, okay? So the protocol that I did was automatic on to 50%. So the vice chancellor comes in, maybe 10 o'clock, walks in the morning. Don't say I said 10 o'clock. Walks in, the lights, 50%. Lots of daylight, lights on to 50%. He can then choose, if he wants to, push this button and say, oh, I don't like it. It's too dark. I want more light. Then chooses more light. Or I hate the 50% light. I turn it off. Okay? So this was the